All right, so we're pretty much all set. Let's do this. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Pierre, your host. Welcome back to my stream. I hope you're all doing okay today. It's Friday. There's no reason not to feel good, right? So my friends, let's do like what we always do. Let's go over to the computer. Let's check out what we did yesterday, and then we'll tackle our day from there. So what did we do yesterday? Well, it's rather obvious. We added the first coat of colors to our canvas. So we started off with a bunch of turquoise, and then eventually we did some more plants in cerulean blue mixed with some white paint to make it a lot lighter. And then that is basically what we did yesterday. That took us all day. We added some more leaves, at least the background in white to those leaves, and that is what we did. So what are we going to do today? Well, today we are going to put a second coat maybe on these, put the first coat on these leaves as well. But I am kind of in a dilemma because when I started this canvas, I'm always trying to get ahead of the, one step ahead. So I put the two coats of green paint on my frame, thinking that all these leaves would be a variety of greens. And then yesterday when I showed up in the studio, well, I had a different point of view or an epiphany, whatever you want to call it. And I decided I would try out these turquoise colors. And I say turquoises because there's going to be two types of turquoise on these leaves. And we have, of course, the light blue cerulean on these other kind of spider plants. But the problem is that this green doesn't work for me anymore. Actually, it kind of hurts my eyes. So you know what I'm going to do right now, just to get this pain out of my system, I'm going to go over this green with black paint. I'm going to put a first coat of black paint. Probably we'll have to put two coats eventually, but at least get rid of this eyesore. So that is what I'm going to do first, and then we'll tackle these leaves afterwards. So first, of course, let's stop the bleeding of the eyeballs with this green. That doesn't work anymore for me. So let me just grab a palette over here. Let me grab a palette, I said. Okay. I'm just trying to clean off the old paint on it so I won't have any chips mix in with the black paint. When the paint is thicker, it just kind of peels right off, but there it's very thin, so it is giving me a harder time. No big deal. Little elbow grease, and it should all disappear. There we go. Let me keep peeling this off. There we go. Okay, all that is gone. Very good. Now let me get my knife. Let's put a bunch of black paint on here. Whoops, there we go. Eventually, I'm going to have to transfer the black paint from a tube like this into a jar like this. Because like I've bitched so much on this channel about these kind of jars, is that when you get down to this amount of paint, it's impossible to get to. So I have to cut this open and transfer all the paint into another jar. But I don't even know why they manufacture these kind of jars. Maybe because it's easier to pack, to ship out from the factory. But obviously none of these guys have ever painted, right? They just figure out how to work things so it makes more money at a cheaper price. So there we go. Let's clean off my knife. And then I'm going to dilute the black paint with some water, obviously, to make it more, give it a better texture so it glides better, covers up better the canvas. I'm having a hard time with my English today. Don't really know why. Usually that's on Mondays where I'm a little rusty. So, if I was mixing colors like I will be doing later, I would do that in front of camera number 1 so you could see what I'm doing. But right now, just to do this, I mean, obviously it's not quantum mechanics. It's pretty simple, just water and paint. I'm just diluting the whole thing. I don't think I'll have enough paint right there, but we'll add some more later if we need to. At least let's get the day rolling. I'm also going to check on the computer, make sure I didn't screw up on anything. I mean, I have in the past started my stream, forgot to put the microphone on. So I always kind of like to, after a few minutes, maybe double check or see that no frames have been dropped or make sure the stream is going the way it should. And so far from what I see, it's going pretty well. I'm streaming at about 4,800 kilobytes per second on my upload, which is perfect for a nice quality stream. Now, obviously, you can stream at a much better quality, you know, like 1080. P's instead of 720, which is what I do. But in more rural areas where you don't have a very quick download, it would be really a pain to watch this. You wouldn't be able to keep up with the 1080 pixels. So that's why I keep it at 720, which is still HD quality. And yet, in areas where you don't have that high velocity download speed, you can still have a pretty good read of these streams. Okay, this looks pretty good. It looks a little thick, but it doesn't matter since we are covering some green. Maybe it's a good thing. So what am I going to do first? I'm just going to bring over camera number 1 a little closer. Come over here, my guy. I'm going to offset it so I'm not in front of the lens, and we're going to aim right up here because that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start basically on that upper left-hand corner and work my way around the canvas from there. So, actually, the camera's right in the way of where I'm going to be standing. That's because I have this stool right there with a jar of water that I use when I mix my paints on camera number 1. Just move everything around. There we go. Make sure there's no excess water on the brush. No, that looks pretty good. Definitely don't want this dripping on the canvas. So let's switch over to camera number 1 and start with the frame. So it's pretty rare that I have to fix an idea that I started off with, like going over the frame like this. I don't think I ever did that before. I usually stick to my guns when I have an idea. And then again, everything is different on this painting, starting with the color of the background, which is magenta aqua, which was given to me. So I've never painted with that color before, and then doing a triangle in the middle of the canvas, that also is quite new. Never done that before, so this is really a painting of innovations. And I'm not totally convinced the final product is going to be awesome either. That's going to be a surprise for everybody, I think. especially for me. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, hoping that the final product will look okay. And if not, well, so be it. I will not lose any sleep over it. I've been painting for like, what, 40 years? So since then, I've made some pretty nice paintings. And once in a while, you're allowed to bomb. Is the camera still following? Yes, basically. Oh shit, I did spill some black paint on the canvas. I'll bring the camera over and show you that. Right there where my finger is, as you can see, a big black streak of painting that dripped on the canvas. But since it is acrylic, it's no big deal. I just get a rag that I wetted, and then I'll just come back and wipe it off. Boom, just like that. And with the fan that's on behind me, they'll be dry in a few minutes and you'll never know. So let's get back to our background. Not to be too sloppy either. So where's the camera? Is the camera following me here? Not quite. Okay. I'll pull it back like that. I won't have to worry about it every 10 seconds. Just want to get this edge. I will have to put a second coat just to get rid of the paintbrush marks. So I'll bring my chair to do that in a few minutes. So let's go back way over to the left-hand side and finish that first. Then I can pull my chair out and do the bottom parts. Now I am going to have to come back up here just for a split second because I realize that I want my black paint to hug the magenta all the way through. There we go. Usually if I was doing another color, I would have a little bit of leeway because I would have a black edge to it on the inside and on the outside of the frame. But with a black background, I won't have that luxury. So I am also going to go back up here and fix that. Fix the areas where I can see just a little bit of the white of the canvas. Just like that. And a little bit right here as well. Come on, be good to daddy. There we go. And right here in this corner as well. Okay, very good. Okay, sorry about that, but so let's continue down on this left-hand side. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go and grab my chair for a few seconds. Also going to check out, make sure I didn't spill any more black paint. No. Okay, very good. Ah, there we go. Nice and easy. Now, of course, I should have done this black paint after I did my leaves, but since I'm going to need a second coat of black paint, it'll be fine. I'll have plenty of time to catch up. And I'm just going to add a little drop of water to my black paint. There we go. There we go. Wonderful. Wonderful, marvelous. All right. Very good. Do all the hard part first. There we go, beautiful. That tomorrow I won't have to be that precise on the edges. Be able to go a little faster. And it looks like I'll have plenty of paint to finish the frame, so that's pretty cool. Now I'll bring the camera just a little bit closer. Zoom in a little more for the editing of my movie. There we go. At the end of my stream, I always do a little, the recap movie, as you see. So I can show it the next day and put it on Instagram, show people what we did today. There we go. Very good. So, and yes, I think as I step back and take a look, it seems rather obvious this was the thing to do. Get rid of that green eyesore. Okay. Very good. So, now let's get back to our plants. I think I will start off maybe with this, with the turquoise leaves on these white ones, so we can see more of the colors without the white being an eyesore as well. So the magenta I already used was this magenta right here, just simply called turquoise. And then the other one that I'm going to use today is from here, and they call this blue turquoise. And it is slightly different. Yesterday I compared both colors, showed you on the screen what they look like. And there is a slight difference. I would say this blue turquoise is kind of aiming and on the cerulean blue. So I'm going to put a bunch of that in here, and I'm going to add a little bit of white paint to it to make it a little bit lighter. Or am I? I'm not really sure. Maybe not. I know I'm going to add afterwards some details in lighter turquoise to give it some richness and some depth. But for the background coat, I think I can just leave it the way it is without adding any white, or maybe just a drop of white. Just a drop, why not? Just because I know that paint, when it dries, it has a tendency to get darker. So I'm just going to add a little drop of white paint. There we go, not that much. Barely will affect it, I think, but still. Okay, so let's get the right paintbrush. I think I have several choices. I'm probably just going to use the brushes I used yesterday when all my troubles were so far away. So I'm going to use this brush, and I'm just going to start off by mixing these two colors. And like I said, I guess I'll do this on camera number 1. Why not? We can do that together right here where I have my jar of water. So you can see I just started to swirl them all together. And this paint is awfully thick, so definitely going to add some water to it. And I'm going to just stir it up. Stir it up. Little darling, stir it up. Get all these colors nicely blended in together so it's nice and homogeneous. And I am going to have to add quite a bit more water to this. So it does look pretty dark, even with the white paint mixed in with it, can't really tell. And it is definitely turquoise blue compared to the other one, which was a little turquoise green. And I'm afraid that since this will be the first coat, I will have to put a second coat tomorrow, or Monday, I should say. That's right, we're Friday. Woohoo! Friday. So, I have a feeling this is still very thick. So I am going to add some more water. Go. Voila, that looks pretty damn good. Okay, so I'll bring this up, and like usual, I'm going to start on that upper left-hand corner and work my way around the canvas. I'm just going to move the camera over to make sure I'm not in front of the lens. Just like that. And I'm going to just come over here and rinse off my brush and wipe it dry, just so it's more comfortable to work with. There we go. So I am going to step back for a second. Okay, very good. It is definitely a nice hot summer day. I have the fan on medium so I can see the frame. The frame is already almost dry, which is not a problem. So let's tackle these leaves. At least let's tackle the first coat of these leaves. Yep, I can see the paint dripping there. Careful. There we go. Very good. Very good. So there's a little bit of reflection from the light. Very good. And I don't know if you can see, but there is a difference between this turquoise, and the cerulean blue. Can you see the difference? Let me see if I can zoom in on all three of those colors, even though you can see the glare on what I just painted, but still should be able to see the difference. Let's get to these leaves here. Look at this, how this paint just glides on the canvas. I just love it. This is so much fun. You know, and then I tell people I'm going to work. Well, what kind of work is this? This is not work. This is pure pleasure. Oh, I just shipped off a painting that eventually will end up in Colombia, in this person's house that they're building. Well, that's pretty cool. Which reminds me, I forgot to email them that I sent it. Do that afterwards. There we go. I mean, this covers very well. And every time I have a paint that covers so well, I keep saying to myself, maybe I won't have to put a second coat on. Now, very few colors work that way. Unfortunately, I always have to put two coats. But look, this one I'm not sure because I don't see any paintbrush marks. Again, my paintbrush is so soft that it really doesn't leave any marks at all. And my paint is, I guess, just the right thickness as well. So, okay, let's bring the camera over a little bit as well. And I'm just going to stop for a second and I'm going to hook the power back onto the camera. You can see the battery's running out. So I'm just going to plug it in like that. There we go. that I don't have to worry about it. Very good. Just add a little water at the same time while I'm here. Oh, I just love it when the paint glides like this. So perfect to get into a meditative frame of mind, which unfortunately, because of the stream, I can't really do that anymore. Oh. Beautiful. So, shall we continue? Why not? Very good. There we go, very nice. Let's get these babies down here. Maybe I'll just step back for a second. Okay, yes. Oh, I'm so happy I did this frame in black though. I do not lie. There we go. If I knew this paint was going to cover so well, I wouldn't have put that white background. The reason I put the white background is so the colors are more vivid. There we go. So I'll pull that back. I'll bring this over here. I'll tackle these babies right here. And just like before, I will grab my chair. Starting off with the leaves that are on the left-hand side. Again, so I don't put my hand in the paint. Since I'm right-handed, of course. Very nice. Look at that. Okay. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Can always fix that with my second coat of black paint. There we go. And let's get this last baby right here. Voila. Okay. Just grab a little bit of water. And here too, looks like I'll have just the right amount of paint to finish this. So I'll switch to camera number 1. Very good. Look at that, isn't that? That is how it should work. Just glide on perfectly like that. And for that to happen, you have to have the right consistency of the paint, the right paintbrush size, and be in a comfortable position to paint. If you can get all 3 of those factors together, it usually is just pure happiness. Go. And on Monday, we can start putting on the details to these leaves. And then eventually it will all have like black outlines. And really it takes on a whole different aspect when you start putting on the details and then the finishing touches. This is just the background again. Okay. Very good, very good. So, what's this all look like? So I still can't tell if it'll need a second coat. Looks like it won't, which is very surprising. But anyways, let's not waste any time. I am going to start tackling the second coat of these of these plants. There we go. And for that, I am going to use this turquoise green. You see now already this jar, I only have this much of the paint left. And to get to the bottom of that, with this narrow thing, I'm going to get a whole bunch of paint on my knuckles. And it really isn't practical. I don't know why these guys came up with that concept. Probably because you can stack a whole bunch of these in a box next to each other. It takes a lot less room than, of course, putting something this wide. I can only assume that is the reasoning behind it. But whatever. So I think I have enough paint there. I'm going to put quite a bit of white with it. Well, we just have those three larger type of banana plants to do. I should have plenty of paint on my palette. And if not, well, we'll just mix some more, right? I didn't clean this off very well. Okay. So what did we say? Oh yes, we said white paint. And I think I'll use my spoon for that just to make sure I don't get turquoise into white. And I'm going to put quite a good amount. Make this like a 50-50 combination. And then I'll use what brush? This one. And I'll use this brush. Why not? So let me just close this up. And like before, I'll go over to camera number 1 and we can blend this together. There we go. So let's go over to camera number 1, which I will bring down here. So as you can see, there's our turquoise green, there's our white. And let's just blend everything in. And actually, I'm going to just add water like this. Why not? There we go. Like that, I won't have to dip my brush every 10 seconds. And we are going to make this like a light turquoise. Let's just blend all this, going round and round. Okay, hopefully it's going to darken a little bit. Looks like I may have put too much white in there. This is more or less the color I would have liked for the details. So I think I'm going to have to add a little more of the turquoise just to make it a little bit darker. First, I'll just make sure all this is nice and homogeneous, nicely mixed all in together. And yes, this is a little bit too light. So I am just going to come back over here and I'm going to add a little more of this turquoise to bring it darker. Make it darker, darker, darker. So let's grab the knife. Let's go get some more of this paint. There. And maybe even that much more. Okay, there's going to be a lot of waste there, something I hate doing. Seeing the prices of these materials, how expensive they are. I do not like waste. There we go, nice and clean. Okay, so I'm going to come back to camera number 1. Let's blend this again together. And hopefully we'll get the right color this time. This should definitely darken it up and give us a beautiful green turquoise. Okay, so let's try that. That looks like a nice green turquoise. So let's bring the camera back up. I'll move it to the side. We'll tackle this first plant right here. But first, just like before, I am going to rinse off my paintbrush and wipe it dry so that it's more comfortable holding it in my hand. Squeeze it nice and hard, get rid of that excess water. There we go. Okay, let's go for it. So I'll switch back to numero uno. There, it's slightly lighter than what we did yesterday, but it's no big deal. We said we'd do that yesterday anyways. There we go. There's no need for me to be that close to the magenta with all the details going over it on top of it. I can't help myself. It's force of habit, I guess. And I almost say that at every stream as well. So stubborn. So this isn't going very well just because I'm not in the right position, as I mentioned earlier. Ah, and that doesn't matter either since there's going to be that second coat of black paint. That's right. Even I get fooled by myself sometimes. Okay, very good. So let's move on over to the next plant right up here. I have no idea what's going to go in the triangle. Worry about that on triangle day. There we go. So I need to rinse off the paintbrush a little bit. There we go. It's getting caked up with paint. Should have more control over it now, which I do. Very good. There we go. Very good. Okay, so let's move on to number 3, which is down here. A little closer. And for this, I'm going to have to grab my chair. Very good. Just add a little bit of water. With this heat, the paint is evaporating very quickly, the water in it. There we go. Very good. Et voila. Very good. So, okay. Okay, very good. So, where are we at now? How far are we into our stream? Are we an hour and 4 minutes? So let's add the second coat to the cerulean blue light. Let's do that, and then we'll call it a day. So I do have my palette from yesterday right here, cerulean right here. I'm going to make it a little lighter. Well, no, the details will be lighter. Okay, well, we'll try. We'll do our best. See what we can do. So there's not that much of a surface to cover, is there? No. Just trying to figure out the quantity of paint that we need. I think that'd be plenty, hopefully. And again, we're going to add a little bit of white. There we go. Not too much. I don't want this to be too light. I want the details to be a lot lighter. So we'll leave this the way it is. Let's see what this does when we blend it all together. Just a little worried about having the right quantity. Not sure we do, but excuse me. Oops. Okay, so now what is the paintbrush we need? Basically the same paintbrushes we've been using for the last couple of days for all the leaves. Yes, I think this one will do. All I have to do is kind of wash off the green turquoise, and we'll be able to reuse this. So once again, I'll switch over to camera number 1, where we can mix this together. Mix this to get a nice little baby blue. I will definitely not have enough paint there. So I am going to go back to the table. Let me pull this back up. Come back over here. We'll add a little more of the cerulean blue. There we go. And add a little more white. There you go. Not more than that. I don't want it to be too light. Okay, so let's get this done. Come back over to number 1. And let's just blend all this in together. Yeah, this time we'll have plenty of paint. And this will definitely darken when it dries. So I think we have the right color. I am just going to lay my paintbrush here for a second. I'm going to go get the 2 other palettes that we used. And like that, we can compare all 3 of the colors we have used today. Right there. So this obviously is the turquoise green, the turquoise blue, and the cerulean blue. You can see the difference, hopefully. Not sure how the camera works on that kind of... So where are we? Let's go way up there. We're going to start with that spider plant, or whatever you want to call it. Way up there. On the second coat. Again, this is just like the background. There'll be details to that later. And just like I did for the 2 other colors, I am just going to come back here and clean off my brush, wipe it dry, get rid of the excess water, just so it feels comfortable in my hand as I'm painting. Lord knows we wouldn't want to get these hands all dirty now, would we? Hell no. Okay. No, it has nothing to do with that. It just simply has to do with being comfortable. So let's go back to numero 1. And let's tackle these last plants for the day, for the weekend. All right. It looks like it's slightly lighter than our first coat. Might be hard to see with the glare. But when I get to the other plants, it should be more noticeable. It is a little lighter, but I think it will darken as it dries. And it doesn't matter. It's a nice color. And that's what counts. There we go, plus the details on top of that. It's going to look quite different when it's all done. There we go. All right. So let's go down to this mamacita down here. And I will grab my chair once again. There we go. Don't have to be too precise, of course. As I mentioned before, on the edges, there'll be other details, right? So it's the center part that's the most important. Ah, what the getting white paint all over here. No big deal, a little bit of saliva. There we go. There we go. And just, oops, I guess I won't need my chair anymore. Just bring this guy, whoops, what's going on here? Wires all over the place. All tangled up, there we go. So, that's what we want to do is go up in that corner right there. There we go. I have no need for me to do what I'm doing. There we go. So Let's move the camera back so we have a long view. Okay, very good. Okay, I hope things are going to work out eventually. So anyway, so there's the view from camera number 2, the view from camera number 1. All right, so that brings us to the conclusion of our show. So thank you very much. Look at that, turquoise there, turquoise here, paint all over my face. God, unbelievable. So, please forgive me, but my webcam is my camera, is my mirror. Anyways, boy, so thanks for joining me, my friends. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope you'll join me on Monday. I'll be here at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll continue this baby. We'll keep our fingers crossed that it turns out to be okay. I have no idea where we're going with this. I'm checking out my nose. Yeah, it's a good thing it's a weekend. Obviously, I need a break. So my friends, I want to thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to leave you with 2 things like usual. One is my schedule, and the other one is by saying, ciao mes amis.